Hey everyone, it's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you're at work, in the car, wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. Please get a like and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, Radio Public, and Spotify. Don't forget about Spotify. You get all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs for the music and our featured patrons, A. Holly S. And by the way, A. Holly S. provided this week's blog with a B.
Oh,
So
yeah.
definitely check out her blog. And of course, thank you to Angie for geocaching Janji for um, providing the being our blog manager. Um, and she is about to pop, by the way. She's at 36 and a half weeks. So hang in there, Angie. Little baby is on the way. So
New geocachers about to come into the world.
Yep, she's a few weeks away. Um, Geo Dandrew, Direwolf 821, Deuteronomy 31:8, Sasquatch Lover, and I always mess this up. Anjay Adaman. It's French.
Glad it's you and not me.
Thank you, France. France is in the house. Okay. Emily Renee, Scout Mom 5, Anspire Crew, Scrabble Hounds, Jinxer 05, Float Your Goat, Just Be, Geocaching Jeeper, and our new patrons, Little Black Dog. And I got Alan to let me know he's our patron in Ireland. His handle is Irish Alan L. So shout out to Alan over there in Ireland. CG Hove. I'm sorry, make sure I get it right. CG Hove. He's in Norway. See, it's amazing. We got a lot of international. It's wonderful.
I wish we could go to all these places to visit people, right?
Right. He's in Norway. And then Little Black Cat. Little Black Cat is Carrot Killer's wife. And so it's interesting. I think this is the first time we've had two patrons that are. We have a lot of patrons that we sometimes will mention them and their wives, but now we have
two patrons. Spouse show you up, right? That's a competitive family, I guarantee you.
Absolutely.
I recognize a competitive family when I see it.
That's right. Carrot Killer and Little Black Cat, and they are rolling through Texas County. So look out. They're going to try to get the Texas County Challenge done as soon as they can, 254 counties. So if you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocache talk for more details. Patrons get blackout coins, and the update on the blackout coins is that, remember, we're still down to about 3 or 4, maybe 3, something like that. But we got new ones. So fear not, patrons. If you become a patron, you get a coin.
Upside down.
More coming. More coins coming.
Oh, yeah. Love them.
There's the back, in case you ever wondered what's on the back of that coin. There it is. So it's a big old thick coin, too. It's awesome. So we got more of those coming. So fear not. You can join us as patrons, and you will definitely get a coin as well as other cool stuff. We got so much in the works for our patrons this year. But also for everybody, we've got a lot of things planned, so we're looking forward to that this year. So bonus content, invites to special events, and support levels start at as little as $3 a month, also known as the Bison Tube level. So let me welcome my co-host Jesse.
Good evening. Finally, we get to get back. We had a week off. Nice to spend with family, but it's good to get back on the show, right?
Yep, absolutely. The year before we did 2 weeks off. We only did 1 this time, but I don't know. We'll have to decide next year if we want just 1 week off or 2, but it worked out. I think
it did.
So we're going to jump right into show 131 for January 6th as we discuss quality. I'll get this right. We're not going to discuss quality geocaching because if you think about it, that's a whole other topic.
That is a whole other topic.
We're going to talk about geocache quality, which was the survey. Because when I first started to advertise, hey, we're going to talk about quality geocaching. Well, that's not the same thing,
right? Yeah, that word order does matter in this.
It does, because you might have some quality geocaching with some really crappy geocaches potentially. Hopefully not, but we're going to talk about the quality of the actual geocache. So I made Jesse not take this quiz.
Not only that, I've been having to avoid it everywhere, and
right.
Scott and Jesse and Chaz did it on their show, so I had to skip that one in the rotation because they mentioned it, and I don't even know if they actually talked about it, but they mentioned it, so I had to turn that one off.
Right, come back to it later.
A whole podcast order in the mornings.
Oh, funny. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I have not looked at any questions. I've not looked.
Not only that, the survey's over, so you can't even take the survey.
I know, I can't even take it now.
I know. I kind of screwed you over on that. I'm sorry, buddy, but it was for the show. You did okay. You know, it's going to be okay. You're going to take the quiz tonight. So
that's right. Yeah.
So a couple quick news items. I've had some people send me some limericks and poems. Yeah. Sodak Zach sent me some poems. I got some haikus this week. So I'm starting to build up a good list.
That's good.
So that is going to be cool.
You're just in the building time for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to build it for a while and make it into a book, and we'll put it out. I think people will enjoy. It'd be kind of fun to have. I think it's a good book to have, around the house. Coffee book. It's a good coffee book.
Well, it just shows how cultured we are. We're going to be sitting around reading poetry. So
right, you can light your pipe and sit around and read your poems to people or whatever. So have a poetry night.
That's where you do the snapping thing, right? Isn't that how they do it?
Yeah, the
beat. You can tell I don't frequent those type of clothes.
Right. You have to wear your beret, you know.
Oh yeah. So, we should do that. We should read one night and get berets.
Get berets on. But
never mind. That's a terrible idea.
No, it's probably bad. Yeah, that's okay. So I'm still collecting those, but it's a little bit on hold. It's kind of a little bit back burner for me because I am really into finishing GC World. And now GC World used to be this. Used to be a game we used to play.
A few people have gotten to play that.
Yeah, a few people played it. We haven't played it in a while, but this is the old board for GC World. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it was a different type of game. We had push pins we put in the board, and you had to guess certain things. But this is now becoming a card game, and I am committed to getting the card game done before Geo Woodstock, and we'll provide. We haven't figured out the complete details. We'll sell some of them. There's going to be several that'll have special collector cards in them they'll have trackables. It'll be kind of cool.
That's going to be very cool.
Yeah, Sodak Zach is helping a little bit. My son Caleb, who you got to see at Podcast of Hope, he's a big tabletop board game player. So this will just be a card game. It's not going to be a board game because I want it to be portable. I want it to be a card game. You can throw it in your backpack, take it to an event, and you can shuffle up and play at at your coffee that you do in the mornings. I don't know if you'll have time.
That'd be cool.
So,
just expanding the network, right? Podcasts, books, blog.
Yeah.
Why not games?
Why not?
All things geocaching, right?
Absolutely. We're becoming the KISS. We have shirts coming out. We're gonna have, how they we're gonna have all the merchandise.
So when can we get bobbleheads then?
Right, bobbleheads are on the way, baby. They're gonna get all that done now. Anyways, so stay tuned for all that. We're really working hard to do that. Like I said, Sodak Zach came with his game Tangled, and so it's gone well for him. That's not a geocaching game, but he's helping us to get some of the nuts and bolts done for GC World. So we're looking forward to getting that done. So, all right. We kind of talked a little bit again about 2019. It's going to be huge. So hang on for that. Podcast of Hope. Give us a quick update, Jesse, on Podcast of Hope, where we're going to wrap it up. Kind of.
Yeah, it's almost about to wrap up. However, we made it to $3,911.48.
Right.
So $88.52 left to go to hit 4,000. So if anybody got after the first year and part of your New Year's resolution is charitable giving,
right,
give $88.52 and make us an even $4,000. You know what'll happen? Somebody will give $88.51. We'll make $3,999.99. But you know what? Again, we made it so far past 3,000. We almost hit 4,000. We're just those weird numbers people, right? We're like, oh yeah, we're so close to 4,000. We gotta.
Yeah, we want to try to wrap that up.
But it's great, and you know what? We're not going to talk about it every week, of course. But thanks again to everybody that, whether you're listening live or on the audio podcast, y'all did great. Everybody gave a lot of money, and hopefully we can do. They will do some good with that. So.
Yeah, you know, another quick item before we move on is the fact that you know, we usually try to give little giveaways during different hours, and we usually have to try to come up with something from our coffers to try to do that, or from Joshua, geocaching vlogger. A lot of times he does. He has to kind of try to come up with those as well. But this time, we had so many people give to the giveaways that we actually had one that we didn't even end up using. IB Geocaching has a giveaway, but we're going to keep what he wants to give away, and we'll use it somewhere down the road. But I was just really happy to see all sorts of people step up and provide some of the giveaways. I mean, Cache Advance gave away a cache crate. I mean, we had, you know, people come forward, you know, who, you know, we didn't even solicit that. They're just like, hey, I want to give something away. And so it worked out great. So
we had that weird discussion about how did it end up being 48 cents.
Right.
And I don't know why we didn't think about this. Cash the Line just mentioned it. It was probably exchange rates.
Oh,
somebody donated a certain even amount, you know, because we had a lot of international people on. That makes more sense than somebody putting in 48 cents.
48 cents to stop cancer.
And I'm sure it was, you know, whatever it was, and 48 cents. But that makes sense. That's funny. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's true.
So one last thing before we get to because Francis Ibero mentioned it in the chat room. He might be able to make it down to this big annual event. So we went out this weekend to go hide some caches, and not Motley Caching Crew like yours, but we had, you know, 3 or 4 of us regular people went out, and we were gonna, you know, we sorted through, and we're gonna find a bunch of caches and then hide these caches for the event too. And no hints on those caches because he's gonna be here for that one. But my buddy brought along. He goes, "Hey, do you mind if I bring a muggle along?" I'm like, "No, absolutely, we'll go." You know, so he goes, "Oh yeah, he's from India." Here, the story, short version of the story is he's from India. He's here for a month working with, you know, a buddy of mine, right? And he's going to show him caching while he's here. He's going to bring it back to where he is.
Oh, cool.
Well, there is no caching around him at all. Zero caches anywhere in driving distance of where he is, you know?
Wow, right.
So he's learning all this, and he's going to bring it all back and start hiding some caches there because it's allowed. There's just nobody around doing it.
Yeah, there's not many, right?
His work crew back there, they're going to start hiding caches now.
Awesome.
So we got so excited doing that. We found only one cache the whole day. We got our hides in, but we're like, oh,
that's
remember
true.
Cache? Let's show him this one. And then, hey, there's a virtual down the road. Let's show him what a virtual is. Right. So we ended up just going and doing that, not even finding caches. But we got to hide some caches. But it was neat because, you know, like, hey, here's a trackable. Oh, great. We actually found a geocoin in one of the caches. I was like, you're not going to see these very often. This is rare here. You're getting lucky and see, you know, here's an ammo can. Here's a large. It was great. Right. So it's funny at the end of the day, he's like, okay, I got all this, and he's going to go all back and everything. So he's going to get to start all this brand new in his area. So that was pretty cool.
It is cool. Yeah. And if you're If you're not on Instagram, you need to be. In our opinion, there's a lot of cool stuff on Instagram. If you are on Instagram, you need to follow Geocache Talk because Jesse's really working hard. I try to put a few photos out once in a while, but Jesse's kind of handling our Instagram. And so I went out there the other day and was looking through photos, and I found. Can I mention that you guys were sitting at the virtual?
Oh yeah,
you posted it. You were sitting on a couch outside.
Yeah, we go to this virtual, and somebody had dumped a couch on the side of the road, but it looks like it's sitting right to look at the virtual. So we're posting on there, and somebody said we were cache potatoes instead of couch potatoes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's great.
I like it. Yep. So yeah,
no, that was a fun one. That was a fun day, even though we didn't get but like one smiley for all of us, except for the new guy. He got all kinds of them.
Yeah,
that was.
But
fun.
You had a lot of fun hiding from what you told me, so that's good. That's
yeah, and we'll see how fun it is after the event happens. We hide for this event every year, and sometimes they go over well, sometimes they don't. So
you'll be good.
These may be mean, but don't ask me to hide if you don't want something tricky. So
that's right. All right. So there was this survey that came out, and I'm going to read you a couple items, and then I'm basically going to give the survey. I'm going to ask you the survey questions to get you to kind of respond, and we'll see how it goes.
And this is the brutally honest survey answers, right?
Right. Just give us what you think.
Clean but brutally honest.
Clean. Family friendly.
I can do it. Honest. I remember. I have a little plaque right here. It says keep it clean.
Keep it clean. Earlier this year, we invited you to begin. This is from geocaching.com. Earlier this year, we invited you to the beginning of a community conversation about geocache quality. Past projects such as the Geocache Health Score. Do you remember what's the Geocache Health?
Yeah, that was a while back.
Okay. Introduction of virtual rewards. And the interesting thing is why they bring that up is because they awarded those based on supposedly they were based on cache quality. Now, I don't think it came out quite the way they wanted it to, but for the most part.
Well, no algorithm is going to be perfect, right?
No, the algorithm was a little off, but that's okay. They did okay. Obviously, if you didn't get one, you think the algorithm was way off, but that's okay.
Right.
If you got one, you thought the algorithm was perfect. That's the way people think. So, hundreds of you responded to the invitation, so forth, so on. Take the survey. Survey closed on December 28th. Sorry, Jesse, but I at least captured all the info. So here we go. The reason it starts at 5, by the way, if you ever look in the show notes, the reason it starts at 5, and you may be wondering, why does it start at 5? Because the first 4 questions were like demographics. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I haven't looked at the show notes, so I haven't seen the questions at all.
I know. That's awesome. I appreciate you.
I was tempted to cheat, but I didn't.
I appreciate you coming in fresh.
There you go.
He's fresh. He's ready to go. So here we go. I'm going to ask you the first question, and there's several answers. And your options are, at least on the survey, was not at all important. We're not going to do every. We're not going
to. Here, I'll write this down because I haven't even. Okay. Oh, wait, no, here we go. You've got it in notes, right? Oh, not at all important. Not so important.
So important. Somewhat
important. Very important. Extremely important. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to use those, but you can if you want.
Well,
so.
That would ruin the fun if we didn't use those.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll be curious to see how different my opinion is than our chat room group here. So
yeah, absolutely. So here we go. How important are these factors? So the first factor in the survey was that the container suited the environment.
I would say, now I'm in Colorado, so it becomes pretty important. And if we're just talking about quality caches, right?
Yeah. How
for a quality cache, just to get this right, I would say very important.
Okay.
Because weather, everything else, that thing is going to be mush if it's not a decent container, at least around here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're definitely, and this is a very interesting topic because you have different things that require the container to be properly done versus, the one I think of is the one that Charles found in Arizona that Angie hid. She hid it with, she did a bison tube. Pardon me, but it was like faded. It's like it'd been the sun so much that it faded that bison tube. So again, if you have a lock and lock somewhere and it's constantly getting sun on it, then it better be a good quality. Otherwise, it's going to become brittle.
Yeah, well, because if you're going to have a quality cache and you go out there and you open that lock and lock and it just breaks apart in your hands,
right?
That probably won't fall into the quality cache category.
No,
still a cache, but probably you won't mark that down with it. There probably won't be a big log on that one.
No, not good quality.
That'll be a Cachely template. There's no
I love it. All right, next one: clever or custom container. How important is that as a factor of a high quality?
If we're leaning towards quality, I really like. I'm going to go very important again. If we're leaning towards quality,
okay.
That even if it's just a plain traditional, you just walk up and find it. If you got a really cool custom container, that to me, those are a lot more likely. That and like private residence caches, those are a lot more likely to get a favorite point. If somebody spent some time, I'm not complaining about, there's an LPC or there's a bush, it's just a pill bottle on a bush. That's great. It was a smiley. That's cool. But that's when you take notice, is when somebody put some time to make the cache more than they had to, because they count the same. Both of those count as smileys, right? So I think it's very important if you're talking about picking out a quality cache, that's one of the big factors.
Right. Fun and or challenging puzzle.
Somewhat important.
Okay.
I go through, sometimes I love puzzles. And sometimes I hate puzzles. There's this puzzle that's east of me that has been out since last February that nobody has found yet.
Oh, no.
And it's killing me. It's still up there for an FTF.
Oh.
And I'll get, like, if it's a terrible day outside, I'll sometimes, if I'm, and I'm just surfing or whatever, I'll solve puzzles that I won't even get. I may not ever get. I just find them online. They're interesting.
Yeah.
And then I'll go through phases 2, 3, 4 months where I'm like, I don't want to see a puzzle. I'll just skip over it a lot of times.
Right.
Especially if I'm already in the field, right? So it can be somewhat important. It can be good and fun and challenging, but sometimes you just don't want to deal with them.
Yeah, and I guess the thing that's interesting is it a factor in the quality, in what you would consider a quality geocache? Because you might find, or at least what I've been finding of the puzzles that I've been able to start. I'm trying to get better at doing puzzles, and I've found I've solved more than I ever have last year. I solved, gosh.
And I've solved way more than I found. Right. There's a bunch of corrected coordinates out there, but I say somewhat important because that's not the first thing I look with.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm looking for I look for a fun adventure and stuff like that. It can make a good one. It also can make me avoid it if I don't have the time to mess with the puzzle.
Right. Well, here's kind of the point I was going at, was the fact that, so I found, I don't know, maybe about a dozen of them around work. And of those dozen, I think there was one that I would consider a cool geocache, the actual container. The rest of them were almost even LPCs, which is fine because I felt like, hey, I was just glad to have solved the puzzle.
Absolutely.
Figure out where that LPC even, where that cache even was. And so anyway, all right.
So here's where I think people fall flat on that, and then we can move on to it. But they do a really neat puzzle, and then the final is boring. You're going to spend the time doing a really neat puzzle. That's great, but go ahead and finish it out. Because you solve that puzzle and you're like, oh man, this is cool. I like this. When you get there and you're like, it's just the LPC thing. You're like, you just lost your favorite point. That's no good.
Right.
You forget all of a sudden. Oh yeah, I forgot because I saw that puzzle 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So somewhat important. All right.
Yeah. Includes parking coordinates if available.
Not at all important.
Interesting.
To me, not at all. I don't even care. I can see. When I get there, I'll pull somewhere else. And I drive a Jeep too, so I'll park in a ditch. I don't care.
Right.
So you're talking about includes parking coordinates on the cache page.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think is. I'm going to say not at all important. I don't want to jump ahead, but I want there to be somewhere to park safely.
Right.
But I don't care if they include on the cache page.
Yeah, I agree. I don't, and that's a good point. It doesn't have to be in there. But like Susan and I, we've talked about, there's a couple times we've driven by a spot and go, I don't know what they want me to do. I mean, I could drive
Oh
down a
yeah,
mile
yeah. Just
and
keep
walk
going.
back.
I'm just going to drive by. If I can't park,
If I can't
I'm
park
going to
anywhere
drive
near
by.
it, I mean, I understand it. If I need to park in like some of those that our Motley Caching crew found one day, they have all these tractors in
Mm-hmm.
this near the subdivision, and let me tell you, we found. I mean, you think a tractor hides tough? Try finding 12 of them in one day. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I will point out that's a good place to hide a hint or some information for a puzzle is in the parking coordinates because a lot of people don't check those.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But other than that, I don't think it's important at all to put it on there.
Well, we had one that it wasn't too bad. We had to park on the side of the road, and then we had to like hoof across the road and come back up. So
yeah,
there wasn't really like you said.
I'm not taking the easy way in. I'm going to go straight line. I'm going to go straight up the hill. So I'm not parking where you tell me to anyway. Right. That makes a trick. I've even put those in there wrong just to be funny.
Oh gosh. That's a whole
park over here, but if you went around this other side, you would have just gone 10 feet, but whatever.
That's a whole other show, man. That's a whole other show. All right. Accurate difficulty and terrain ratings.
Oh my gosh. Extremely important. And don't change those suckers. Stop messing with it after you publish it. You need to use somebody to help you if you're new or if you haven't, done a lot of them, or just to get a right opinion, make it accurate. That is so important. I think that's so on one end, don't call it a 5 or a 3 if it's not either one of those.
Right.
On the other end, don't call it a 1 if it's not.
Right.
Because that can really get somebody hurt. But don't say it's a 3 and then you have a 15-hour hike, or it's a 5 and it's a 4-foot tree. Stop it. Just be accurate. Don't try to fake that. I think those are very important. And I do a lot of sorting by difficulty and terrain,
right, based
on how much time I have for the day. So that one's extremely important to me.
And I think people need to realize, because they may not realize, and we talked about it a little bit, but if you change one of those, it changes it for everybody. When I first started, I didn't know it did that. And I think you and I talked about this was years and years ago.
Yeah. But, I think we need to do a show on this because UDAG just mentioned it too. So
yeah, I mean, but like if you switch, like somebody finished out their Visi grid and they come back one day and they go, wait, I had a 5, 4.5 completed. Yes. And they go back and they go, what cache was that? And they go back and look and they go pull it up and somebody changed it to a 5, 4. It's like, wait a minute, you can't just change it like that.
Well, I've even seen those, and I don't want to get off on a tangent because we will, because I'll go crazy on this one. But UDAC mentioned that someone suggested a lock on the DTs after a certain period of time. Here's what I'll throw out, and then we'll have to do this for another show, right? But there's a lot of stuff that should be locked and only change with reviewer approval after it's published.
Yes,
that's the whole reason you get somebody to beta test the cache.
Right.
But let's don't go down that rabbit hole because that'll be a next hour.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
Harder, yes.
All right. Largest container for that location.
Not at all important.
Oh, interesting. So you could
have the opposite opinion.
A nano in the woods?
I'm not 4 years old. I can find caches. I don't need a hugest container that can fit in that area. As a matter of fact, I almost want the smallest container that'll fit in the area because it makes it harder for me.
Right.
And I know people hate nano in the woods. I love nano in the woods.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a big 8-gallon drum out there, even except for the fact that I want more larges, right? Because we all do, because we're stats people.
Yeah.
But it's how you miss that. Like what you've done Terry All in Colorado, the oldest one. You can't miss that. It's a bright orange bucket. There's no search when you get there. So I actually like it when it's the little bitty, hard to find containers.
Terry All is a Home Depot bucket. Spoiler alert, it's a Home Depot bucket.
Yeah, that you can see from like Google Earth.
Right.
So there's no searching for it. You just get there.
But it's also for a whole different reason.
People were saying something about nano in the woods. I like, I want the hike and the search when I get there too. Exactly.
I'm with you.
Hey, these are my opinions, so it's okay.
Okay, exactly. It is your opinion tonight. That's all. All right. How about accurate attributes?
So this is hard, right? Because I don't think so. I'm going to say not so important. And here's why. Because a lot of people use those as puzzle pieces. Those are part of the puzzle, and I've seen people build puzzles off of them, and they'll do tricky stuff. The reason why I say not so important is because I don't care about those, right? Like, for example, the ET Power Trail, they use that as a sorting feature. So all of those say scuba cache.
Right. They say scuba required. Right.
So I don't think you can do challenges off of those anymore anyway, attributes. I know you used to could fill in the challenge grids. Right. I don't know that you can anymore. No, those things are very subjective and stuff anyway. So
yeah,
I totally don't know if that's right or not. I just haven't seen any recently, but attributes can, and they can be very helpful, but I usually really don't look at them unless it's like a 5-5. Right. If it's something extremely difficult and I want more information on it, I will, but they are helpful. I just don't pay attention to them. For me personally, I don't pay attention to them.
Yeah, there's a couple times where I want to know. I want them to be, because there's a couple around work that are 4.5s, and I just want to know what I'm looking at. So if I go look and it says a tree climb, I'm like, okay, well, I now know, can I do it at lunchtime or do I go back and do it later?
On that end, I do too. I agree with you. On that end, but 99% of the time, I don't even look at the attributes on any of them. And I would say the only time I ever even look at attributes, unless it's like a 5-5, is if there is a challenge that I've signed. I'm like, oh crap, I need 55 Jeep attributes for this.
Right. That's good. Yep. All right. Well hidden from non-geocachers.
So I'm going to say very important. I would say extremely important, other than it's gotten a lot more mogul friendly nowadays. So in the woods, it's a little bit less important, right? In the city, extremely important. That's like the most important thing if you're doing really, really urban stuff. Out in the woods, it's not as much of a, I'm talking about wilderness area. Mountains and stuff, not as big of a deal.
People are going to wander around.
If you're talking about urban stuff, and again, getting off on a tangent, but also don't put them behind banks, and don't make me feel creepy going after cash.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not going to be considered a quality to me. I agree with you. That's another. Now, if it's hidden in plain sight kind of thing, where you're like, unless you're a geocacher, those I love. Oh my gosh. Those are like the greatest in the world. Where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. People walk by this every day and they don't know what they're looking at. And
like the one of my favorite ones is they'll do the magnet on the sign that's the exact same as the sign.
Yeah.
Like it's a square sign, like not like a stop sign, but a square sign says no parking here. And they put the exact same magnet on front of it and the logo on the back of it. People see it every day and have no idea. Those are great.
Right. Those are awesome. Yep. Owner maintains the cache regularly.
Oh, extremely important. With the small caveat of like power trails and junk like that they know the community is going to maintain those.
Right.
I don't care about those as much because you do what you got to do. But I think it's extremely important. And we've talked about it before. When I was visiting my brother and I was out in a park caching, and I found that like the drug stuff, the needles and junk like that.
Yeah.
And this person wasn't even a cache owner anymore. So there was no way. And I didn't have anything because I was on vacation. I didn't have anything like to clean up this. And it was in a public park.
Right.
So it's extremely important that somebody is still active and attached to that cache because dangerous situations can happen. And
absolutely,
kids go out by themselves to find geocaches,
Yeah.
And don't even have family with them sometimes because it's a local park. They're fine. Like, go play. Yeah.
Yeah.
And situations can change around a cache. So I think it's extremely important that they're, if it has a dirty log, a full log in it, I don't care about that. But situations around a cache can change. They need to be connected to it. So extremely important.
Okay. Does not harm the environment.
I know I should probably say very important.
You better.
But I'm trying to think,
Jesse.
I'm trying to think an example of harming the environment. We're not talking about a toxic waste spill here. So what could really harm other than, people put a nail in a tree. I've heard that debate before. I don't care. The tree's fine. The tree's not crying.
Trees gonna live. Yeah.
But I mean, like trashing the environment. That's no good.
I guess
what do you think? What would you classify that as harming the environment?
I think of the you and I have probably been in parks where they're like, you need to stay on the trail, and if you, because of whatever reason,
okay, in that case, I'm going to say at least very important. I wasn't thinking of it that way. I was thinking of urban stuff. You know what? I'm going to say extremely important because I love hiking. I love doing that other stuff, and it's either very important or extreme. I'm going to say very important because you can try really hard and people are still going to be dumb and walk through stuff, so you can't get that focused on it. But yeah, in that situation, do not be tearing up nature and that kind of stuff because those geotrails can really destroy stuff. I wasn't thinking about the geotrails kind of thing, but yeah.
Yeah. And if it's done right and if it's done with permission, you can put a cache along an actual trail that is you can't get they don't want you leaving the trail. So there's ways to do it. So
I'm getting busted in the chat room.
Okay.
Somebody said I'll walk right up a hill and avoid the trail so that harms the environment. Yeah, you're right. However, the trails that I'm talking about, those are boulders, and I'm not harming that environment. You're
not harming it. No.
I'm not tearing that up.
There was a couple times when, like Susan and I, when we were in Hawaii, and there was one of the trails that we were on, it said, you really need to stay on the trail because there's birds that are nesting nearby. And so it was very important that you keep that. So anyway, yeah,
they need to do better on that. If they just said there's stinging nettles or poison ivy, if you step off the trail, nobody would step off. Nobody cares about those birds.
They should.
I mean, somebody does.
Yeah, somebody does. All right, a well-written description.
Maybe somewhat important because a lot of times on the bottom half of it. So like, 3 threes and below. I don't even read the description. Obviously we got busted on live on Periscope, not reading the description before, but, because a lot of times that gives away everything. So unless it's something really tricky, a lot of times I won't read the description unless I don't find it immediately.
Right.
Now, I've spent a lot of time writing up a really good description in HTML and all, the code for the page and everything and putting pictures in there. However, oddly enough, I don't spend that much time looking at that until maybe I haven't seen the cache. Unless it's one that's like I'm traveling to go do and need more information. So I say somewhat important.
Okay.
It can be important, but not necessarily a game changer for me.
Okay. Accurate coordinates.
Very important.
Ooh, okay.
You
don't like the challenge of?
I do, but that's not an intentional challenge, right? If it's me figuring out the coordinates, then that's fine if I miscalculate something. But so I say they need to try to make them accurate. I like, when I get close, I usually put my phone away and start looking anyway, right?
Sure.
But don't do it just to make your cache like, I'm going to put this 30 feet off. Ha, ha, ha. No, that's not.
There's people who do that.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, there's people that do that.
Just, in the normal 15 feet and then 15 feet, that's normal GPS accuracy. That's cool. But, if it's like 200 feet off, come on now.
We had a cacher down.
Found those like that, right? That are like 200 feet off, and they're like, that's just annoying.
Yeah, we had a cacher down here that would do that. They would deliberately put it over 100 feet away because they wanted you to be challenged. It's like, well,
then build a letterbox. That's what those are for.
Do something.
That's not a traditional cache. That's a letterbox. Walk down the field, turn at the tree. That's what a letterbox is for.
I agree. There's ways to make a challenging without screwing up the coordinates for people.
So somebody mentioned, Bounce mentioned, I have some in parking garage, so the cords are always off. That's different because there's no way to get good cords, and those are fun. We just found one of those recently because you don't know. So you've got your X and Y,
but
you don't have Z. So that's always fun. You don't know what level it's on. Those are cool.
Oh gosh, yes. We had one of those one night with the Motley Caching crew, and we were at this pretty good sized parking garage, and we split up because we were trying to cover ground. It was like, I don't know how many levels it was. What was fun was, sort of yelling at each other. We kind of had a lot of fun with this, like, I found it, and they're like, you found it? I'm coming. No, maybe I didn't find it. It's like, stop it. Stop it.
Y'all were just being mean to each other, though.
Yeah, we were being mean to each other. So
that's fun, though, and again, not intentionally off, but I don't get bent out of shape if they're off 25, 30 feet.
No.
You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
That's just normal stuff, but don't just do it for no reason.
Yep. All right. Helpful hint.
Not at all important.
Okay.
I do not read the hint unless I absolutely can't find it, and then I've pretty much already failed anyway. So I get mad.
Right.
I'd say 95% of them I don't look at the hints unless I totally can't find them and they're there. So
it's like,
and a lot of times they're not there anyway, so they're kind of neat, but they're not. That's not a big part of it for me.
All right, here's an interesting question. And this, again, we're going to get off on. We have so many tangents we could run off tonight. Would you look at a hint first, or would you look at the images first? Or the description?
If I'm looking at images, I'm pretty desperate.
Right.
And I've done it. Absolutely, I'll do it. If I'm there and I can't find it, because I don't like to walk away with a DNF. So I will look at the hint, and I will look at images. And that's one of the things, if we get stuck, that's one of the things Christy will start doing. She'll start looking through images, and she'll start looking through logs also.
Logs, yeah.
Like, what does anybody say? But that means it's already way past, and that's not your normal experience, right?
You're deep. You're deep into trying to finish it.
Yeah, we're deep into not finding it, and we're trying to not walk away with a DNF at that point.
Absolutely.
But
all right.
So one or all those, but she's usually the one that'll start looking through those.
Interesting location.
Oh, very important.
Okay.
Not that it can't be, but I would much rather, me personally, I would much rather hike to somewhere that's really nice.
Right.
And see a really beautiful view and get one. That's not to say that urban hides can't be good, because I like those a lot too. But I really like when they bring you to if you're going to do a hike and you're going to do that kind of stuff and they bring you to a beautiful view, man, that's great. That's just like a gift that you got. That's better than the smiley anyway. Yeah.
And we're not talking about all caches. We're talking about quality caches.
For a quality cache, if I'm more, and the way I'm kind of thinking about it, what am I more likely to put a favorite point on?
Right. Exactly. Because we like all caches, but we're talking tonight about quality. So, okay. All right. Next question. That was all one question. If more geocache finders took these steps that we're going to talk about, how helpful do you feel each would be to improve?
Is this the same rating system?
Yeah, same. Not at all helpful. Not so helpful.
Helpful. Okay.
Somewhat helpful. Very helpful. Extremely helpful.
Okay.
How helpful would this be, do you feel, to improve a geocache's quality?
Okay.
All right. Award a favorite point more often.
Somewhat helpful.
Okay.
I'm bad about that too, because it's a sliding scale, right? If you found 50 caches and you've got 5 favorite points, you're going to be impressed a lot easier. If you found 50,000 caches, so it's such a sliding scale of what you're going to throw a favorite point out for. I'm very bad about it. I have to be really impressed to do it. Which is interesting because you have more favorite points than most people because you found so many more. I have a lot left over too.
Right. And you take them back. You steal them.
That's right.
Swipe them from other caches.
We'll talk about it on another show, but if it's an archive, it ain't helping nobody.
You have stolen that favorite point, sir. No, I'm just kidding.
That favorite point was part of a contract of an active cache, so yes, I did.
All right. Log did not find, needs maintenance, or needs archive whenever necessary.
Very helpful. Because people are scared to put needs archive. People are scared to put needs maintenance because they think somebody's going to be mad at them. Yep. But it's very helpful because you get out there and it's not there. It's in bad repair. And I think that would help keep clearing a lot of that up.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be very helpful.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. It's a whole. Every one of these questions is like their own show. They really are.
It is. So I'm gonna go faster on this because we'll never get through the questions. Okay.
All right. Do not install new cache containers without consent of cache owner.
I'm gonna say. This one's hard. I'm gonna say somewhat helpful. Okay. Because I know a lot of people. So people that know the cacher and help fix the container, if it's not a special container, who cares? You can replace a pill bottle. Don't throw a pill bottle down at a birdhouse cache, right? But so you know what? So is it that they do or don't do that?
That they do not install.
I'm going to change my answer.
They do not do a throwdown.
I'm going to say very helpful because we're talking about quality caches. We're not talking about junk type stuff.
LPC.
You should not put it down there. You should let the owner maintain that.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree. Writing honest, constructive online logs.
Very helpful.
Okay. Good.
It's hard to do sometimes, but with quality caches, it's very important, I think. It'll encourage that owner to maintain that cache.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah. All right. Assist geocache owners with minor maintenance. And the example is to replace a wet or full log sheet.
I'm going to say not so helpful, but here's why I'm going to say that. Okay. If we're talking about what would contribute to quality caches, that doesn't do anything to improve the quality of a cache. It is very nice. And you should do that. And you should let them know minor maintenance. But I don't think that really increases the quality of caches by any way.
Right. Unless it's a young cacher who comes along, who doesn't realize that this is a good cache quality. And they're like, oh, I don't really like this cache. If you like my teenage angst person. Oh,
that was great.
Like that? Why do they have to be teenage?
Yeah, I don't think that really contributes. That contributes to general maintenance, but it doesn't do anything special for caching.
I'm just thinking that if they come along, I hope that they give, like if they find a really cool cache, but yet the log's full, they could be upset. Hopefully they're not upset because the log's full. I mean, if it's a great
Not only that, you're also you could be propping up an owner that's not really maintaining their cache.
Sure.
So there's that too. So
absolutely. All right, next question. That was a short question. If more geocache hiders took these steps, and I'm gonna give you all the steps, how helpful do you feel each would be to improving cache quality? Okay.
Okay.
It's the helpful, not all helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Provide mentoring to new cache hiders.
Extremely helpful. I was lucky enough to have a few people, some experienced cachers that kind of showed me some of the ropes and stuff.
Right.
All the difference in the world.
Okay.
It's huge. It doesn't mean you won't make any mistakes, but you don't have to make some of the dumb mistakes, right? Extremely helpful.
Yeah, and I think that cache quality breeds cache quality because if you have good caches, in like I'm trying to remember back to my experience back in 2006. Susan and I found, I think, some really good caches. They were in good spots. They were good quality. And so what that did was it caused me when I started, because, most people who get into the game, and they're going to start hiding their own, hopefully. Oh my gosh. If you're a cacher and you don't hide some, you've got problems that we need to talk about, because, and I know people that were like this. I know there's people out there listening that are like, well, I've only found a couple thousand. I haven't hit any yet, but I've only found a couple thousand. Like, no. If you found, and again, this gets into, you need to find several because you don't know what you're doing yet. I've had people who have found one and they're like, I'm ready to go hide a cache. Like, well,
see, this is another show that we're going to go down a different rabbit hole, right? Because let's say that all you found is power trail caches. You don't know crap about caching yet.
No.
You just know how to slam and fun. And don't get me wrong, I like doing that.
Yeah.
But if you live in the middle of Nevada and have found ET caches only, and you found 4,000 caches, and if you live in West Virginia and your neighbor is Tim, that's a different experience, right? Like all you've seen is birdhouse caches.
Right.
So that's where it's hard to go. You have to have found a certain number before, we need to get into that in another show, but because that breaks out into a whole other thing.
It does. You're right. Maintain your own geocaches more regularly.
Very helpful. Extremely helpful.
Extremely helpful.
Mm-hmm. You're responsible for maintaining your own caches.
Right. Absolutely. And we'll get into that again. That's the whole show as well to talk about because you're supposed to maintain your own caches.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Hide the kind of geocaches you would like to find. We always talk about that too. Hide caches you'd like to find.
Very helpful.
Okay.
And here's why. The only reason I don't say extremely helpful is just since we just mentioned him, WV Tim. Not everybody can hide those type of caches.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Everybody wants to find those type of caches because they're awesome. Or those like Arduino boards. Those are awesome, but that's not attainable for everybody. So I say you should hide quality caches if that's what you like finding. But you can't always do everything. Like there could be somebody that likes finding earth caches. I don't know why. But not everybody can hide those, right? Because it's not the same. So I'd say very helpful though. You should have some idea, like hide some Waragos, hide some, puzzles, hide those so you can see what it's like to go through that.
Yeah, you need to find all the different types so that you can go hide all the different types. So, all right.
Yeah.
Be more thoughtful about cache location and container.
Very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's cache. Yeah, very helpful. If you're talking about quality, you should be thinking through those things for sure.
Right. I agree. Host workshops to teach about hiding and finding geocaches.
Oh, extremely helpful. And I can say that because I've done that, right? Yeah. I've both been to them and I've hosted them, and I just got contacted like 2 days ago by a cacher that's newer to me. I didn't know him before now, and they live in a city close by, and they're going to start doing monthly topics of hosting these, and so I'm going to present a couple things for them. I think that's great because if you're an individual cacher, you may not have a chance to see a lot of these things or get involved in something without, getting on those. Do those forums even exist on geocaching.com anymore? I don't know if they do or not.
I don't know. I don't go to
I'm not going in there, right? Yeah. I'm not getting in any area where people can flame you for asking a question and stuff like that. So, I think they clean those up, but I don't even know if they're around anymore. But you want to sometimes just get in front of somebody and go, I'm kind of scared to do where I go, but if somebody could just kind of walk me through it, I may take off with it. I think those things are very important. Yeah,
I agree completely. All right, next question.
Yeah. We could do a whole show on that too. We could do a whole show on all these questions.
I told you this was good. You were asking like, can we make a show about this survey? I'm like, yes, we could do a survey.
Because you wouldn't let me see it. I had no idea what was on there. I thought it was gonna be like the 5-question thing again.
I know. No, this is awesome. This is awesome. We're still going, and we gotta roll on. All right. If HQ were to adjust the requirements for hiding a geocache, how helpful do you feel each of these would be to improving geocache quality?
Ooh.
So the question isn't...
This is going to get rough.
I know, but remember, the question isn't, should they do this? The question is... How
would it adjust geocache quality?
If they did this.
Okay, I'm ready for it. I'm going to get some hate mail after this one. I can guess already.
All right, this is the helpful scale again. Not all helpful, not so helpful, etc. Speed up the process for problem caches to receive reviewers' attention.
Somewhat helpful.
Okay.
I don't think that's important. If you're spending the time to put out a big, huge quality cache, it takes a little time, right?
Right.
And I hate to point to this. But the Earth cache process.
Yes.
It takes a while, but by the time you get one of those out, it's right.
Yes.
You've had to get actual permission with a name and everything else. You've had to do all these things and check because it takes, it could take a month or two to get those out. You're not just going to slap something out there. So the quality is, even though it's an Earth cache, the quality is usually higher for that.
Right.
There's not a lot of missing parts to it because you're not getting an immediate response. Like reviewers in my area are awesome.
Yeah.
I could throw out a cache and it'd be published before we finish the show. It's great. Right.
Yeah. We have that a lot in Texas,
but the quality is doesn't necessarily going to be there because they don't have time to really check through it. So,
yeah, and of course that gets into a whole other topic too.
But anyway, so somewhat helpful.
Somewhat helpful. Yeah. Okay. Restrict total number of geocaches one person may own.
Oh, geez. So, this is going to get some boos, but I would say very helpful. And but I want to explain.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? No, I'm kidding.
If you can own 50,000 caches, the average person,
potentially, right?
Not somebody that is a professional geocacher that does no other job.
Right.
It's really hard to maintain those. If you were only allowed, say, so to speak, to own 10 or one of each type, those should be the highest quality caches you can imagine, right? Because that's the one that represents you. So I'm not saying they should do that. What I'm saying is that should raise quality.
Oh man, that's a good question. Would it raise quality?
If you could only publish 10 caches, would they be throwdowns?
No, or just LPCs. We would never have an LPC again.
You'd never have an LPC again, right? You might.
Although, would that be one of you? Because
put that one down for another show because we need to have a discussion on that one.
Would that be one of my 10? See, I have an LPC near and we've talked about this before. I have one near a hotel in town, and I actually get favorite points at LPC because people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad there was one here. I had no time to do anything. I wanted to find a cache. There was one at the hotel."
But you could always improve quality on LPC too.
You can.
You've seen those little Lego cities under the LPC.
Oh yeah, right. Or you could.
It's funny, before people throw a fit about this one.
Yep.
People that have published a lot of caches, I think everybody should go to their profile later tonight and go, I have to delete, don't do this.
Right.
If I had to archive every one of my caches except for the top 10, which ones would I keep?
Which ones would you keep? That's a good question.
That would be interesting to look through there, so.
It's another show. I tell you, this thing just is like a show generator. It really is. Okay. Require cache owners to address maintenance issues on their cache hides before hiding new caches.
I'm going to say somewhat helpful because this is going to get very complicated, right?
Yeah.
And I can see how this would get tricky real quick. Somebody wants a spot before somebody else's does, so they throw a needs maintenance on there, and somewhat helpful. I don't know that that's really going to do it or not. There's an extreme situation. If you have 50 caches that need maintenance, why would you be allowed to put out another one in an extreme example? But under normal circumstances, I think just somewhat helpful.
Okay. Requires where did I leave off? I'm sorry. I got busy looking at other stuff. Okay, here we go. Require new cache owner to successfully complete an online tutorial before placing a cache.
No, they already did that, and it didn't help. So not at all helpful.
Not at all helpful. Yeah.
Because you've looked through this online, unless it was like extensive, but the little 10-question quiz or little video that pops up, people don't even pay attention to that. Just boop, goes through.
Yeah, they go through.
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't be helpful at all.
Not helpful at all. Require cache owners to include a photo of their cache placement when submitting the cache for review.
Not so helpful, and here's why. Unless you're going to send 5 photographs of foreground, background, all this other stuff, you're not going to be able to see that much off of it. And the reviewer can't actually see if that's accurate anyway.
Sure.
So, and how many LPCs do you need to see a picture of, right?
Right. How many stock photos of a bison in a tree do you need?
I don't know that could help, but I don't think it'd be that helpful. So not so helpful.
Not so helpful. Requires finding a certain number of caches before hiding a cache.
So we kind of mentioned this earlier. I'm going to say not so helpful because just doing that wouldn't do it. If it's 50 LPCs, how does that help you hide a mystery cache?
Right. You're right.
If we're going to break it down to say you got to find 10 of each type before you can find that one, or you have to find the exact DT before you have to find a 2-2 before you can hide a 2-2, or you have to find a 5-5 before you can hide a 5-5, but what if you're in an area that doesn't have that many? You know what I mean? So so it could be helpful if they really worked on that a lot, but you can't just make a blanket statement and say it's going to work.
Right. I agree.
So.
All right. Next question. If Geocaching HQ were to adjust the tools for giving praise to a geocache, currently it's favorite points, and it's only people who have a premium members can do favorite points, right? Yeah. How helpful do you feel each of these would be to improving cache quality? Again, this is on the helpful scale, not all helpful and so forth.
If they allowed it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So not helpful, somewhat helpful, very helpful, etc.
So is the question if they open it up to everybody?
Well, no, just
adjusted it somehow.
Adjust the tools. So I'm gonna mention some tool adjustments. You let me know whether the
Gotcha.
Okay. So here's the first tool adjustment. Allow basic members to give favorite points. Would
that's a hard one because just because somebody's a basic member doesn't mean they haven't found a crap load of caches, right?
Right. That's a good question. Does that improve geocache quality?
So favorite points can improve quality, but somewhat helpful. Okay. There's so many to that, right? Because people use them in different ways, and maybe because no premium, because you're not premium doesn't mean that you haven't found a bunch of caches, because there's workarounds, for all kinds of stuff. Generally, the premium accounts now, the way they have them, you do have access to more variety of caches. I think you can't find virtuals if you don't have premium now, or unless you have CGO or something. I don't know, but
difficulty in terrain is limited too, Jesse.
So that's going to be kind of hard too, because I don't know as much about the non-premium one.
I know. We almost need a basic membership.
So I'd say somewhat helpful.
They should give us a free basic membership just so we can remember what it was like.
All basic memberships are free.
Right. Well, they are free, but I guess I don't want to create another account just to see them, but
call it Sock Puppet. Puppet for your quiz.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to do, but I forget. You and I both forget a lot of times what what basic member can do, because we haven't been one in so long. All right. How about this? This is a complete reversal of that, which is provide unlimited favorite points to premium members.
No.
It's the Oprah. You get a favorite point, and you get a favorite point.
Yeah, that's a 12-place trophy. That is not at all helpful.
You get a favorite point, and you get a favorite point. And you get a
not at all helpful.
Yeah, not at
all. That would water it all down and be worthless. If they're not any value to you, you can give them to you just give them to every single one. Hey, I'm happy it's my favorite one because I found it.
I found it, right. Hey,
no, that's not at all helpful, probably harmful.
That's probably harmful. I agree with you. That's a bad idea. Create a place. I don't know what they mean by this, but we'll find out. Create a place for cachers to say why they favorited or rated a cache.
That is called the online log, and it already exists. That's what you should be doing.
Right.
So I would say not so helpful, because that should already be in the log.
Yeah, and that gets into whole, like I said.
Christy called it snowflake geocaching. There you go.
I love it. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Add function to search by favorite point percentage, which is it's in Project GC already. By the way, shout out to Project GC. Go become a member.
Somewhat helpful, because there's a way to do that already. but I just like the favorite points. Doing it by favorite points is good enough, I think. I don't think you necessarily need to do it by percentage of favorite points. A lot of them, it could be helpful, somewhat helpful, because there is a way to do that on Project GC now.
There is, but I agree with you, because if somebody has a ton of favorite points, I mean, like a lot,
right?
Does it matter that there was? I mean, Mingo has a ton of favorite points. Do I care that what the percentage is? No, it's the oldest cache.
Yeah, there's a reason it usually has a ton of favorite points, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, and if it's, say, a Geotour, for example, we'll have. There's a lot of these that you and I could come up with. They're like,
right.
That shouldn't have that many favorite
points. That's
points.
why I say somewhat helpful. It could be helpful, but it's not. It wouldn't be the most important thing to me.
But like a Geotour, you're like, I don't care that it was I don't care about cache quality. I'm trying to finish.
Explain the percentage real quick. Stacy Weaver's asking what you mean by the percentage.
The percentage is how many. And this is the book. It gets into the book.
So if 500 people, if it's got 500 favorite points,
the geocaching 201 geocaches before you.
But 1,500 people have found it that could give favorite points to it.
Yeah.
And didn't. Then 500 did, 1,500 didn't. That's only 25% of people that could give favorite points did. So 25% or 500, it just gives you a little more information.
It does, and that's why it's the whole Wilson thing. That's what we talked about. But we've a show on that. But that's
a more in-depth thing. That's for your book and for stuff like that and for Project GC, that's great. But
have fun.
I don't think that's going to make that much of a difference.
I agree. Okay, create a rating system such as a 5-star for caches. So a cache would get a rating based like this cache is 5-star because
I would say not so helpful. And here's why. There was a thing that already existed called GC Vote. Yeah, it was an extension you could put on, and people were already doing that and doing like the 5-star thing. I downloaded it, but nobody was ever using it.
Right.
You can't get them to do a favorite point or not a favorite point. They're not going to do 5 stars.
No, and
I think favorite point is a good way to keep it going. If it's got a bunch of favorite points, it's probably worth checking out.
Yeah, and I think the star rating thing could get really out of whack because people are going like, I'm giving it 5 stars because this is my friend, and it's like,
and I only do caches with 3.5 stars, so this is not worth it. My time. No, we're not doing that.
But it's like, is this cache any good? Oh no, it's not good at all. But I give it 5 stars because it's my buddy's cache, and I got to give it 5 stars. Like, well, that's not any good. I don't care if it's your buddies. I want to know if the cache is any good. So, all right,
so
we're almost done. Next question. This is, I think, the last question. Yeah.
Okay.
No, 2 more questions, and there's not. They're pretty quick, so we're almost done.
All right.
If Geocaching HQ were to create projects for recognizing owners of high-quality geocaches, how helpful do you feel each of these would be to improving geocache quality?
Okay.
The first one is, and this is on the helpful scale.
Yeah.
Give option to hide a unique cache type, like virtual rewards is what they're referring to.
Extremely helpful.
I agree.
Extremely. If there's a category above extremely helpful, that's what I'm thinking.
Right. As in, you've got to do this.
If you reward me with something very rare, I mean, we travel tons of miles to go to rare things.
Yes.
Rare is very important in geocaching. If you let me own something like that, my caches are all going to be super high quality. No, that's extremely helpful. People would bend over backwards and it would shoot up through the roof.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like if
give me a webcam to own, I'll put out whatever kind of caches you want.
Right, right.
I'd definitely do that.
Right, I agree completely. And the virtual reward thing, you got to remember, people did not know what the algorithm was, so you couldn't really.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. So imagine if they told you what it was,
right?
And only quality caches were allowed to put out certain cache types and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, that'd be huge. Just the fact that you owned one of those type of caches would say that you're a higher quality cacher,
right?
You ain't got to brag about 10,000 finds or whatever else. You own whatever it was, this special star cache.
Right.
You're awesome. You're elite. People would be, oh yeah, that would work very good.
It's a badge of honor. In fact,
Absolutely.
So Geocaching HQ, you need to do this. Whatever it is, it's like if you're going to allow certain webcams only to elite anymore, like the next version, I don't know. But yeah, I agree. It'd be perfect. That would improve cache quality quickly.
Yep.
I mean, real quickly, because if you had, if there was a way to rate that. So, all right. Next one is create visible website status for owners of high quality caches.
So like you get a star beside your profile name if you had a I think that would be very helpful. Not as good as letting you get something else out of it, but if you got a little bonus like, hey, I'm super cool, and it should have been on your logs, people would want that. That would be a badge of honor also. Not as big as getting to own some kind of special cache, but a badge of honor for sure.
Definitely. All right. And this really is the last question.
Okay.
If Geocaching HQ were to implement these ideas, how helpful do you feel each would be to improving cache quality? So here they are. There's only 2 of them.
Okay.
Souvenir promotion that rewards a variety of caching rather than high number of finds.
What does a variety of caching mean? Just finding different types?
I'm not sure what they're talking about. Souvenir promotion that reward a variety of caching. So I guess the idea is that you don't just go find LPCs.
How does that help cache quality?
I don't know. Remember,
that's not hiding anything. I'm going to say not so helpful because I don't understand that one.
It is a little bit confusing. Rather than high number of finds. Oh, okay. So I guess the idea is
finding quality, but that doesn't help make them better caches.
Except that you're not going to go after the crappy caches. You're only going to go after. The idea, I think, is that
reward people for finding quality caches.
Yeah.
Okay, that may have been a better,
Yeah, and what that's going to do is that's going to create. The idea behind that is it's going to in turn create all these other. It's going to create high quality caches.
That's a long time down the road. That may be helpful, but I'm going to say not so helpful because that's just types of cache. That's not really quality. They didn't write it that way.
Yeah, and the last part is rename the needs archived log name to needs reviewers attention.
Ugh. Why are we hurting somebody's feelings? I'm going to say not at all helpful. If it needs to be archived, that means there's something dangerous or it needs to be archived immediately. Right. Needs maintenance is exactly what it says. We do not have to be that soft that, I'm sorry, are you get your feeling hurt from a little red wrench on your
right?
Come on, stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is, right? If there's a reason for that needs archived on there, I know people get all sideways about that, but we don't have to soften everything. That's not going to help anything. Not at all helpful.
No, and I think most people know, well, hopefully they know. They know now if they listen to the show. If you put a needs archived on it, it sends an email to the reviewer and says, you need to check this. And Jesse and I have both done that, and we've done it for good reasons and not because it was, that cache was crappy. I'm going to tell it needs archived. No, it's because it's not, it's behind private property. It's on private property. You don't have permission because we know we've been told this is not proper, whatever it happens to be.
I don't think changing the wording is going to help cache quality at all.
No. All right. Well, thoughts.
I like that a lot.
It was good. I think it was a good survey.
I could easily discuss for 3 or 4 more hours several of the things that are on that list.
Yeah, me too.
And people were going crazy in the chat room too, and I was trying to watch that at the same time, but they have the same passionate opinions we do because this is the hobby that we spend, the free hobby that we spend hundreds of dollars every year on. This is what we like to do, right? I mean, this is that's why we're gathering here on Sundays and we're doing these, and everybody's in the chat room because we really love this game. So if they stick to some of these things and really listen to it and really do improve cache quality, that'd be awesome, right? Because I love finding tons too, but I really like more finding quality caches.
Right.
However, as long as there's 8,000 caches out there to find, that's tempting as well. Just go down that trail and hit a bunch of them at one time.
But that's a different experience. That's supposed to be. You're talking about ET Highway. ET Highway is not supposed to be. You're not supposed to pull up to ET Highway number 380 and go, well, there should be a birdhouse cache here, and it needs to be Arduino. No, you're supposed to drive. You're trying to drive this long, very long road, and stopping.
It's a different type of caching, totally different style. So I think that's what me and you have had this conversation several times, right? Exactly what you're saying. I want cache quality, but I also want cache quantity. I want all of it, and I think we can have all of it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, there's a little bit of something for everybody, which is why we like this game so much.
Yeah, and I think that when there's an opportunity, this is what I think both of you and I we go crazy. When you have an opportunity to do a quality cache and you don't, it drives me insane, because there have been times you and I both have pulled up somewhere and go, oh man, you could have hid the cache right here.
Oh yeah,
it made it awesome. Instead, you chose 15 feet away a lamppost skirt. Why did you pick that when you didn't have to? It wasn't like you didn't have a choice and you wanted to put a cache out in this little area, and there's nowhere and there was nowhere to put it. Whereas in this case, there was one right here. You could have put it right here and you didn't. It's like, oh my gosh, So
and I think we're going to come back to this again without a doubt, but part of the reason for that is because a really creative cache results the same as a non-creative cache. It's one more. What is it? What was it they said? +1.
+1.
I remember +1.
TFTC. That was
who said +1? Somebody told us that.
Oh,
it was an international guest. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Hendel.
In
we
Germany do that. Our local group has started doing that. Like they write a full log, but they put +1 at the end.
That's fun.
If there was a reward for people, some reward system, like you get a badge on your profile, or you get to hide something special for that.
Right.
That would improve cache quality the most out of anything that was asked in here, and people could still do quantities as well. So
everybody go back to your Mingo log and just put +1.
+1.
Just kidding.
We are not advocating for that, first of all.
No, but it's funny to talk about. No.
But you know what? If it's a pill bottle under a bush and a geo trail, +1 sometimes covers it. So,
well, what's funny is, and this is again for another show, but using Cachely, you can create a log. Like I have a generic DNF log that basically says I had no luck today. It's to remind me to not
multiple
put
logs.
That cache is not there. Yeah, you could do multiple. Yeah, you have multiple types. So I have one that I use for caches that I find at lunchtime, and I'll tweak it. But at least it gives me a generic sort of starting point. So, Okay.
I'll admit, I'll straight up most of the time, if it's just generic, generic cache in a bad way, right? Just a cache that I'm going to quickly swing by, and it's just in a parking lot or something.
Yeah.
There's nothing unique to say about that. There's nothing unique I can say about that without just making up a story. I'll use that template. Bloop. But now, if there's anything at all unique about the cache, I absolutely add to it.
Right. So. Absolutely. I'm with you. Cool. Yeah. I thought that was that was fun.
A good survey. I like it.
I turned out good. Yeah. I'm glad you trusted me. That I kept telling you, you're like, really? And I'm like, no, trust me. You're going to enjoy this.
Yeah. So, no, you were right. Absolutely right. So.
All right. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right. Upcoming shows. Next week, we are going to have on Nick Hubbard. and we're going to talk about Cachely 5.0. Now, Cachely 5.0 is going to come out soon, he told me. It won't come out before the show, unfortunately, but scheduling is not always a perfect science.
But that means they get advance notice.
They will get advance notice. We have a lot of cool stuff to talk about with that. And for those out there that are not iOS users, and I know you're out there, and we love you, we appreciate you, don't think this is wrong. There's going to be questions that we're going to ask that basically will cover all the apps, because I really have some questions as to some of the inner workings of like, how does Nick find out about certain things from geocaching.com, and how does he kind of, without getting into too many details, how does he kind of work some of that behind the scenes? And so that works for any.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Works that for any of the apps. And a lot of the stuff, again, we always talk about these are items that you may or may not have in your GC Droid, or whatever app you're using. If you're using the generic geocaching app, then you get to find out more about Cachely. So it's always fun to have Nick on and talk about it. So anyway, in 2 weeks, we're going to have on the benchmark blasters, and we're going to talk about benchmarks. And for most people are like, benchmarks, whatever. But I did not know this. And they sent me some photos of different benchmarks, and I got really excited. There are some really cool old benchmarks out there.
Oh, yeah.
Different types, some from the Revolutionary War in the U.S. And so we're going to talk about benchmarks, because it turns out it's more fascinating than I think you realize. So
it is. And there are opportunities for FTFs on benchmarks. Just going to throw that out there, and we'll talk more about it next, on that week. But
yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then 3 weeks, we're going to have on Steve Weeks and talk about travel bugs. And we're going to sell a bunch of travel bug albums, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't have the travel bugs album, and they need to have it because it's a lot of fun.
My daughter loves it. We played we're driving around all the time, and she knows all the words of the songs.
Right.
It's all clean music, and stuff, and she's got her favorites, absolutely, and we laugh hard singing those songs driving down while we're geocaching.
So Steve is a geocacher. He's going to tell us about some of his latest geocaching experiences, but he's going to have his guitar, and he's going to do some singing for us. So it's going to be fun, and that's in 3 weeks. So, all right. So hopefully you enjoyed tonight. Email us any comments at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on, you follow Geocache Talk on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, facebook.com/Geocache Talk. We have a page and a group. Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. If you have a favorite way that you consume podcasts and we're not on that particular one, let me know. I always will go out and add us to that one. And of course, you can go out to the Geocache Talk website and find out information there. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button below so that you can, and ring the bell, so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis, and it'll remind you that we're on. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And I noticed that, like you said, chat room was going well tonight, as it usually always does. We love our chat room folk. They're great people, and they really do provide something for the show every week that is unique during a live show. So we really appreciate it.
We had a great chat room group.
Yep. So until next week, don't just talk about geocaching. Go find some quality caches and go hide some quality caches. And while you're doing that, you're going geocaching. So good night, everybody.
Good night.